Here come the birds. 60 Saturday on air from 4 this afternoon, playing songs like this. Breaking out hits after hit after hit. It can only be gold. Across the UK on digital radio, Gold. UK, on DAB, digital radio, and on Global Player. Download it free from your app store. This is Gold, playing Elton. On the way after 10, the hotel guests, the staff find the most annoying, and why. Just wait till you find out why. Gold's big number one's on the way. We're in the 60s with the Searchers.
Julius Caesar here. Did you know jobs booked through Checkatrade are guaranteed for 12 months? They are! So even if your closest friends are treacherous scoundrels like mine, at least you'll know you can trust the builder you booked on. Recommendations you can rely on. On selected job types, T's and C's apply. Plasma. It's incredible stuff. It's powerful, priceless to those who need it. And though you may not have heard of it before, it's used to create unique life-saving medicines. And amazingly, it's in you, which is why we need you to donate plasma to help save the lives of thousands of people with weakened immune systems, using medicines only your plasma can help create. Plasma, it's the medicine in you. Search Donate Plasma to register in London and help save lives.
Daniel's in our dentist chair feeling pretty happy. Open wide, Dan. That's because his dental costs are paid back in just a few days by Simply Health. And wider? Which allows him to stay on top of his oral health. Just a little bit wider. Oh, no wonder he's grinning like a Cheshire cat. And relax. For affordable dental plans that help you cover treatment costs, search Simply Health. Simply Health. Altogether smilier. T's and C's, exclusions and limitations apply.
Philip Schofield here. Did you know there are just over 31 million seconds in a year? So why not spend 60 of them finding out how much your car's worth at WeBuyAnyCar.com? That's right, only takes 60 seconds, leaving you millions for the important things, like marveling at what a tiny speck of dust we are in the endless universe. To find out how much your car's worth in 60 seconds, enter your reg number now at WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Admin fee may apply. For more information, see WeBuyAnyCar.com/info.
To reach new customers for her call handling business, Kate turned to radio.
It makes the amount of people in your market just increase massively, and it certainly drove the costs of our search activity down.
Discover the stations backing brilliant businesses in your area. Visit radiocentre.org and get on air.
Somewhere out there is a what to wear to work dilemma. A helping hand with a photocopy that's misbehaving. A seat on the rush hour bus. A colleague is also a mate. An extra shift. A payday treat. And a well-earned Saturday off. You could find all this in a job that you never knew was out there. Search Job Help, the government website that can help you discover support, training and advice in finding your next opportunity. Job Help. You'll help me find it.
It's time to start thinking about swapping your lounge for your lounger and spoil yourself rotten. And that's something a Saga Boutique cruise is rather good at. Boutique is your own VIP door-to-door chauffeur. Boutique is indulgent in fine specialty dining in one of our restaurants. It's relaxing in the knowledge that travel insurance and cancellation cover for coronavirus is of course included. Go on, spoil yourself. There's still time to book a cruise sailing soon. Search Saga Boutique Cruises.
Travel insurance provided by Great Lakes SE. Cancellation cover provided by Saga. Subject to medical screening. Opt-out option available. Over 50s only. T's and C's apply.
This is Gold with the latest news next. There it is. The phone of my dreams. Oh, just look at it all sleek and modern. You will be mine. Oh, yes, you will be mine. Oh, but look at the price. Hold on. You can get lower prices at Tesco Mobile with Club Card. Get in.
Use the power of Club Card to get a phone you'll love. This is Supermarket Mobile. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps. Club Card prices available in selected products only. Club Card required.
On digital radio, on Global Player, on your smart speaker.
Play Gold.
Playing the greatest hits of all time. This is Gold News.
From Global's newsroom, I'm Maya Thomas. Court documents show Alec Baldwin didn't know he was being given a loaded weapon before he shot and killed a colleague on the set of his new movie. It's claimed the assistant director shouted "cold gun," meaning it was safe. The actor says he's heartbroken and is in contact with Helena Hutchins' family. Mark Normandy is director at the International School of Screen Acting.
Normally on a set, you would have an armourer dealing with blanks. There's no reason to have a live round anywhere near the set. The live round has evidently accidentally found his way into a gun that fires for real.
Almost £7 billion is to go into improving England's transport networks outside London when the Chancellor sets out his budget and spending review next week. The money will be given to areas such as Greater Manchester, the West Midlands and South Yorkshire for projects like upgrading trains, stations and tram networks. It's all part of the government's levelling up plans. Health bosses in Liverpool are encouraging people to work from home. They say they're likely to see more people becoming seriously ill from COVID because vaccine uptake in the city is lower than the rest of England. Encouraging remote working is part of the government's Plan B, which it's ruled out reintroducing for the time being. And petrol prices are said to be nearly at a record high. The AA claims increases in the wholesale cost of diesel are now being loaded onto petrol.
Gold weather.
With Global Player. Listen to Gold wherever you are. Download it now.
A fairly cloudy day all told, with rain developing in the northwest and highs of 14 degrees. From Global's newsroom, you're up to date.
This is Gold from Global. Now, here comes 3 big number ones from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Gold's number ones.
From the 80s, I'm going to play you a song that was written all about the singer's childhood sweetheart. From the 70s, a song that sold 11 million copies around the world. Wow. And we're kicking off with a bit of Mercy Beat from 1963.
3 number ones from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Non-stop. Gold's number ones.
Sweets for my sweet, sugar for my honey. Your first sweet kiss thrills me so. Sweets for my sweet, sugar for my honey. I'll never ever let you go. If you want to play start and shine so brightly, to let the stars in your eye, darling, I will chase that bright star nightly. Entirely stealing from the sky, and I will bring sweets for my sweet, sugar for my honey. Your first sweet kiss thrilled me so. Sweets for my sweet, sugar for my honey. I'll never ever let you go. If you wanted a dream to keep you smiling, I'd tell the Sandman you were blue, and I'd ask him to keep that Santa piling until your dreams all come true. And I will bring sweets for my sweet, sugar for my honey. Your first sweet kiss thrilled me so. Sweets for my sweet, sugar for my honey. I'll never ever let you go. And if you wanted a love to last forever, darling, I would send my love your way. And my love not only lasts forever, but forever and a day. And I will bring sweets for my sweet, sugar for my honey. Your first sweet kiss thrilled me so. Sweets for my sweet, sugar for my honey. I'll never ever let you go.
3 big number ones to kickstart your day. Gold's number ones. Three number ones from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, non-stop. Gold's number ones.
What?
Lord's big number ones for Saturday with Jesse's Midnight Runners, and it's David Andrews with you. What are you up to this weekend? 60. And good morning to Anne in High Wycombe, who says, David, I'm having a chill-out morning because later we are off to the Royal Albert Hall to see Cliff Richard's belated 80th tour, which should have been last year. Been a long time coming, and I'm so excited. I'll tell you what, Anne, let's take you back to 1958 when Cliff was 18 years old. Where has the time gone, eh? Move it on Gold.
Hi, Linda. Good to see you.
Hello.
Hello. How you doing?
Yeah, not so bad. I've come to Bob's house again because
All right.
um I had an engineer out again. He came on
Oh
Friday
gosh. Oh, it's
and he then came again on Monday and he then came again on Tuesday and he thinks he's fixed it, but he said it could take about 10 days to bed in. And then when I was on a WhatsApp
what?
call yesterday,
Why
he
would it
said it
take so long?
because it's not just me, it's the whole cable in the outside thing.
Oh, I
Anyway,
see. So it's major.
yeah. So yesterday I was on a WhatsApp call in the morning and it just my internet just kept dropping out. So I thought don't want to
Frustrated. Yeah,
chance.
especially for this.
Nice about screen sharing because I think it's different when you're a host than when you're not a host. Can I just quickly try that? Yeah.
Shouldn't make any difference.
No, because the settings were different. Because I know when I tried to do it last time, it obviously wasn't quite right. Let me just see. Oh no, that's fine.
Yeah.
Let me just
Do you want to
see
just
what.
do a practice screen share as
Right.
well? Oh yeah,
Can
that's
you
yeah,
see it?
yeah,
Yeah.
good. Absolutely brilliant. That's good. That's yeah.
Well,
Uh,
that was different. Maybe it's because it was on the reform one. I don't know, but that was normal. Oops, that was normal. So yeah, okay, that was fine.
so that's good. So
Yeah.
and what you could do, because normally people live just about 10 to, so you can blank your screen or whatever. It's just as long as you're set up. Fortunately,
Yeah.
I should be available for most Saturdays now. I've got no more tournaments and all that, but um, got one today that will get it out. Luckily, it's just down the road at the Hive. But it's Barnet v Chelsea, so it's quite a grudge game.
Oh. So is that? Are you actually playing in
Yeah,
this?
yeah, I'm the captain of the team, playing captain.
Wow.
So it's quite a big thing. So I've got to motivate them. So that's what I'm going to do. But anyway, could you give me after the service? Just if you give me some feedback by email. I always like to know how the service goes, how many turned up, what was good,
Yeah.
and if you think that could have been done differently. I just always like to know, even when I'm not attending, just general. Michael's a safe pair of hands. That's definite.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll be fine. So anyway, Ruth Hart is doing the Haftarah.
Yeah.
Uh,
And he knows.
Rabbi wrote next Shabbat, and I've got the weekly email up.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's
share
up to
that.
whether you want to share it or whether you just want to announce things.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's a waste of time in the sense because everyone can look it up, but sometimes if they've got it in their face, it could be a reminder of anything that's sort of coming up. I think it's good, even though I'm not able to attend it, but to advertise the Tea and Torah because I just think that's something that. But a lot of people get. I've been to one of them. They're very good. It's sort of good discussion, so that's worth mentioning.
Yeah. Good.
Okay.
Good.
So thanks for doing the hosting. I've got to sort of leave, sort of more or less get ready to leave now because I've got to start at 11, but I've got to do the team talks and all
That's
that.
all right.
So thanks.
Good luck with
Yeah.
match.
Hope the service goes well and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
You take care. Bye.
Bye.
But just a reminder, you normally stay to the end. If you leave, you could potentially close the whole service, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah, I know.
If you go straight after Kiddush, you'll get nobody. Yeah, you'll butcher the whole service for everyone, but I think you know that. Okay, take care. Bye.
Okay, bye. Right, that's it now for ages. So. Yeah, you end up being rushed. Shabbat Shalom, Maria.
Shabbat Shalom, Linda. Nice to see you.
Yep, and you.
How is your daughter?
Yeah, she's fine now. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Oh,
yeah.
Yes, it was a bit of a fright, wasn't it?
Yeah. And so my granddaughter's full of, or her new baby is full of cold, but other than that, she's fine. Yeah.
How old is the new baby?
And the new baby it's over 3 months.
All right.
Yeah, 3 months.
With babies, it's difficult to know how they get these bugs. I suppose it is from the grown-ups. I can't think of any other way. But yes, I remember my son was the same. He got things when he was a baby. How did he get them? Could have been only from us, But yeah.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rania.
Morning.
Morning. Hello,
morning,
Linda.
Rania.
Hello,
Morning.
Maria.
Morning, darling.
How are you?
I'm all right.
Good.
So, yeah, well, a bit busy, but there you are.
That's good to keep busy. That's good.
Well, I wasn't used to be busy, this sort of busy. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So
yes.
So it takes, and I'm those many years older. So there you are.
How are you, Linda?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good. Whereabouts do you live?
I live in Stevenage in Hertfordshire. So
okay.
Is that
close or far to London?
About 30 miles. So it takes about, how long does it take to get to London? About 45 minutes it takes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's really a commuter town, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Oops. Sorry, I just muted you by mistake, Maria. I muted you, Maria, by mistake. Sorry, you're muted.
Hello.
You're muted. Morning, Joseph.
Hi, how are you doing, Linda?
Hello, Joseph. Oh, nice.
Maria,
I like the background.
Sorry.
Thanks, there's a canal.
I still can't hear you. I'm muted. And I had to unmute. It's not looking there. Oh, bless.
So, I need to go away in a second. Can I just check if you can hear me all right?
Yeah.
Ba, ba, ba. La 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 la.
It's fine.
Okay.
Very good. Very good.
All right, I'll be back in a second.
Yeah, Maria, sorry, I muted you by mistake.
No, it's all right. No, I wasn't saying anything fundamental. I said that Joseph is now performing from a houseboat. It was actually a lovely landscape. Very English. I don't know whether it was English, but it looked very English.
Oh. Here I am.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
I didn't know. I didn't know you couldn't see me. It's
It is you, and you look like yourself.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Oh.
We never know who is going to turn up at the other side.
Exactly.
So yes, yeah, that's fine. Yes.
Oh dear.
I haven't started my French lessons yet.
Not yet?
No, because I had to take another membership. It's a different U3A from my usual U3A.
Okay.
So I had to start another membership. So, and they are only once a month, thank goodness. So not because
What do
it's
you
bad.
mean? Thank goodness.
No, because I'm already
busy.
Overstimulated. If you can put that way. And so I'll let you know how I got on. When
Please.
The first one, yes. Is the first Thursday of every month.
Okay.
First Thursday of every month, yes.
Okay, that's good.
So I'll probably, if I see you the following Saturday, I'll let you know.
Okay, that would be nice. I'll be happy to know about it.
Yes, okay. And if my French is back to to its better pace, then I will say 2 or 3 words in French.
Two or three words, not a sentence.
I am a very cautious creature, I'm quite nervous about speaking to the people the same whose language is
Don't. With me, I mean, feel free. Even if I don't know how to make Zoom to organize a conference, but if one day, if it can help you, we can Zoom each other. If we say that in English, I don't know. And if you need help, I will be happy to help you, honestly.
Thank you. It's very good of you, yes.
I used to teach French. I used to live in England, in London.
I know you did, yes, that's right.
Many years ago.
That's where you met Kevin, didn't you?
That's right. Yes. Right. And but I taught French to English people.
Of course.
That was the other, yes. But so I'm very patient. So no worries.
I'm sure you would be anyway, but if people are not used to teach foreign students, you can get very slightly irritated, even if you don't show it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can, because I teach Portuguese, and sometimes I say I have said this millions of times. How many times I have said, please look at what you have written and make sure that the nouns are in accordance with the adjectives. And it's the simplest thing to do. You write something down, and then you read and say, this noun, which is it? Which gender is it? And then, but it is the force of the English not to have the concordance that makes people, their brains are wired differently,
That's right,
because the English doesn't do them any favors with the Latin languages, because all the Latin language have concordance between the nouns and the adjectives and the verbs, that's right. That's so anyway, but it is great fun. It is great fun.
That's good. That's good.
And I think people feel that it's good for their brains to try a different language.
Yes, to stimulate the brain.
To stimulate the brain in that sort of way.
It's good. Yes.
Is Kevin not in today?
No, that's why I'm hosting.
Oh, you are in charge.
He's
you are in charge of Mazel Tov. I don't know if the case. I don't know if the case for Mazel Tov or not, but I shall say it anyway.
So say good morning to the Zatzis, morning to the Solomons, morning to the Harts.
Oh my goodness.
And to George.
Shabbat shalom,
yes, all the
everyone.
usual suspects.
Shabbat shalom, Alan. Oh. Okay.
So, Linda, did I gather you're in charge today then?
Yeah.
Well, Kevin's off somewhere, obviously.
Yeah. Who's the rabbi?
Good luck.
Here he is, Michael.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Michael.
How are you?
Yes, fine, thank you.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Janet.
Her audio is not very good on the Chromebook that she's using.
Do we want to start putting in some mitzvot, like the community prayers and things?
That would be great. Yes, someone for the community prayers, someone for the Torah reading.
So, is there anyone who wants to do the Queen government?
Oh, she needs it, doesn't she? She's not very well.
Yeah.
Sorry. It is a shame, really, isn't it? You know,
Yeah, she's ill.
Yeah, she's out of hospital now. There was a photo.
Oh, really?
Yes, it
Oh,
showed.
she was ill. Yes, yes.
Yeah, no,
Yes,
she's out of hospital now. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yes,
Oh,
yes. There's a
she was
photo
only-
on the front cover of the Times
It was
showing.
only one night, I think.
Is that because of the COVID?
No,
No,
COVID,
no.
Oh, okay.
She's 95, that's what it is.
Yeah, thank goodness. You know, it's a great age.
Great
Wonderful.
age, and is amazing, really, I must say.
Yeah, I don't know
She's
how
a
she
trooper.
manages, honestly.
Yes, yes.
I would like to do the community mitzvah.
Oh, okay. That was Rania,
Yes,
wasn't it?
is
Sorry,
that
I've gone on a
okay?
different screen. Was that who was that? Yeah. So Rania
Yes.
for community.
Thank you.
And government, anyone? Queen and government?
Government. Well, not in a good way. I think with whoever does it has got to do it with feeling, I think.
Well,
I
think
think
of it as a prayer for Her Majesty.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
And a prayer for the French president.
How about that? Yes.
Oh dear.
Oops.
All right, I'll do the Israel prayer
Okay.
then, Linda. Thank you.
Lovely.
Okay, so we just got the Queen and government. Maria, was that a volunteer from you? When
No,
you were
it was
saying
a joke. Because I
I'll
can
do it, I suppose. I'll do it.
She'll do it.
Oh,
Good,
Rosemary,
good, good,
okay.
good.
I'm
Yeah,
doing the
Rosemary.
Queen- I'm doing the Queen and government, am I?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, well done.
Thank you.
My sweet feeling. Yes, that's right. Yes.
Somebody's got to do it.
And we've got Torah blessings and the translation as well.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Possibly. Anyone up for that?
That's too much for me.
Oops. Hang on. So I'm not at my home. Yeah, it's yours and it's Rob. Sorry, that was my daughter-in-law's phone, and Rob, her husband, who's in another room, was calling her. Don't ask. Right, sorry. Was there a volunteer for the Torah blessings, or?
Oh no, it's too difficult.
Because if not, I don't mind doing it. But
Okay, yeah, Linda, do it. Yes, yes.
Oh, how about Hannah's just about to come in? Maybe we can ask Hannah to do it.
Yes, that's right.
I think was
the poor
that
guy, yes.
Mr. Zatz volunteering? Were you volunteering?
Yes, I saw his
Well
hand up.
done.
Yes.
Paul.
Paul.
Paul's that.
Paul might be persuadable.
Oh, Paul for the Torah blessings and the translation.
Yeah, if somebody tells me where it is.
Yes, kept you occupied. Yes.
It'll be on the screen.
Okay.
So
Thank you, Paul.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
I think that's
Shabbat
about
shalom,
it.
Hannah.
Hello.
So just before we start, a couple of other little bits. On page 118, we have the morning brachot. As we can't read in unison on Zoom and make it sound nice, it would be good to have somebody help by reading the lines in English, which are printed in italics, if anyone would like to do that.
Oh, Hannah?
Hannah, thank you.
What page are we?
118.
108.
118. 118. Thank you.
Lovely.
Okay. Are we ready to begin?
Right.
Shabbat
Joseph?
Shalom, Joseph. Are you all set up?
He's muted. Joseph, you're...
Yeah.
Just give me a second.
Oh, that's a nice music.
Someone's playing music. I can't.
That's quite loud.
Where's that music coming from? I can hear. Okay, it was me. Sorry, I thought. Right. Gosh, I'm trying to do a billion things in one person here.
That's okay. It sounded suitably Sephardi.
Yes, yes.
It was very nice.
It wasn't Sephardi. It was French medieval.
Ah, here we go. Thank you.
I tell you why. Actually, you might be interested. I'm working on a play next week, which is set in the medieval community of Norwich, Jewish community of Norwich, and just trying to vaguely figure what music might have sounded like, which no one really knows, frankly, in the 13th century. But some French sources are probably the best guess, given that the Jews of England came from France.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
It is.
Good.
Right, sorry about that.
No. I mean, that's really interesting. I a couple of years ago at a Yiddish conference, I heard some old Yiddish songs from, I think, about 300-400 years ago, and it sounded much more like Renaissance music. I was really surprised. It didn't sound anything like the klezmer that we used to.
No, you would not. No, you would not.
Probably Diana Matut, wasn't it? Maybe Diana Matut, was she speaking?
It might have been. I don't remember who the speaker was, but it had been done from discovered in manuscripts. This music,
Western Yiddish, so the Yiddish of the Rhineland and France, probably.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it would be. Yes.
Yes.
Far away
I think you were at the conferences. I think you were at the conference as well, Joseph, if I remember rightly. Okay, so Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
We're going to read service 3 this morning. 3, page 117.
Can I ask everybody to mute themselves unless you're participating, please?
So I think that's ready for me to start with Matavu?
Yes, it might be helpful, Linda, if I could be a co-host. It means that I can also mute people if they're being very naughty.
Well, Kevin's not here. That's the main source of it.
Okay, thank you. Let's get going. Page 117, Matavu.
Matavu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkanotecha Yisrael. Matavu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Vani Barov Chazdecha Avo Betecha Eshtachave El Checha Kodshecha Beyirotecha Matovu Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Matovu Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Adonai ahavti me'on beitecha, mekom mishkan kavodecha. Vani eshtachave ve'ekra evracha lifnei Adonai yosi. Atovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Atovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Vani tefilati lecha Adonai et ratzon. Elohim barov chazdecha aneni behemet yishecha. Matovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Matovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael.
And please join me as we say, we thank you, O God, for this new day, for morning sun and evening star, for flowering of tree and flowing of tide, for life-giving rains and cooling breezes, for the changing seasons, for the cycle of growth and decay, of life and death. We awake and behold a new day. O God, renew us unto life. Teach us to recognize your presence in creation. Grateful for your gifts, may we dedicate all our powers to your service. So I'm going to read alternately with Hannah the morning blessings. We praise you, O God. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for eyes to see.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for clothes to wear.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for the joy of freedom.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for the power to rise.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for providing for all our needs.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for daily renewing our strength.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for the blessing of sleep and the privilege of waking to a new day. And if any of you have trouble sleeping at nights, it means, of course, you know very well the blessing of sleep when you do manage to find it. How lovely it is. Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam baruch hu. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, hamuhulal b'fi amo, meshubach, u'mufo'ah b'lshon chasidav v'avadav, bish vachot uviz mirot, negadelecha v'nam lichecha, malkeinu yachid chei ha'olamim, Baruch Ata Adonai, Melech Muhulal Batishbachot. With the coming of day and night, I will enter the covenant of God. And when evening and morning depart, I will recite God's decrees. God Most High, you are my righteousness. You teach me goodness. You are the fountain of knowledge, the dwelling place of holiness, and the summit of glory. Eternal might and majesty are yours. I will choose whatever you teach me, gladly accepting your judgments. As soon as I move my hands and feet, I will praise your name. When I go out and when I come in, when I lie down and when I rise up, when I rest on my bed, I will sing your praise. And in the company of my friends, I will praise you with the words of my mouth. Mizmor shel Yom HaShabbat.
טוב לחדות לאדוני ולזמר שמך עליון לחגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות עלי עזוב עלי נבל עלי היגיון וחינו כי שמחתני אדוני בפועלך במעשה ידיך רנן מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך צדיק אתה מה יפרח כארץ לבנון יזכה שתולים בבית אדוני בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו עוד ינובון וזמר דשנים ורעננים יהיו להגיד כי ישר אדוני צורי ולא עוולתה בו.
We continue on page 135. You may wish to stand as we join together for Yishtabach and the Baruch Hu. Yishtabach Shimcha La'ad Malkeinu Ha'el Ha'melech HaKadol VaHakadosh B'Shamayim U'Va'aretz Ki Lacha Na'eh Adonai Eloheinu V'Elohei Avotenu Shir U'Shavucha Hallel V'Zimra Barachot V'Odaot Me'ata Be'ad Olam Baruch Ata Adonai Habocher B'Shirei Zimra. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMavorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMavorach.
Please be seated. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Yotze or Vorei choshech Osei shalom uvorei et hakol Hami'ir la'aretz v'ladarim alecha barachamim Uvtuvo machadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reshit Marabu ma'asech Adonai Kolom b'chochma asita malah ha'aretz kinyanecha Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu al shevach ma'aseh yadecha Ba'al ma'orei o sha'asita, yefarucha salah, Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMa'orot. Great is your love for us, eternal God, and abundant your compassion. Our ancestors trusted in you, and you taught them the laws of life. So be gracious to us and teach us. Incline our hearts to hear your words, to know and understand, to learn and teach, and with love to uphold the truths of your Torah. Enlighten us with your teaching, make us faithful to your commandments, and wholehearted in the love and awe of your name. For in love you summon us to serve you and proclaim your unity. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher ba'amo Yisrael, ba'ahava. And you may wish to stand for the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Adonai Elohim, Adonai Baruch Shem Kavod, Shem Kavod, Malchuto, Le'olam, Le'olam Va'ed.
Va'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol modecha v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavacha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibata bam b'shivtacha b'veitecha u'v'lektecha v'aderech u'v'shachvaha u'v'kumecha u'kashatam la'ot al yadecha v'hayu l'totafot bein einecha u'chatavtam al muzazot beitecha u'b'sharecha.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Good and beautiful and true, sound, established and enduring are these words now and forever. True it is, Eternal One, that you are our sovereign God and Redeemer. As you were the God and Redeemer of our ancestors, you are our Maker, the rock of our salvation. We have known you always as our helper and our liberator. There is no God but you. Truly you are first and you are last. We have no Redeemer but you. You redeemed us from Egypt and freed us from the house of bondage. Then with great joy, Moses, Miriam, and all Israel together sang to you this song.
מי כמוך בעלים אדוני, מי כמוך אלוה בקודש, נורא תהילות, נורא תהילות, כל סבלת. שירה חדשה שבחו גאולים, ושמך זפת הים. יחד כולם הודו והמלכו ואמרו Adonai yimloch leolam vaed. Adonai yimloch leolam vaed. Yada dai dai dai. Yada dai 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 dai. Yada dai 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 dai. So Israel, Uma Bezrat Israel, Po'alenu Adonai Tzavot Shemo, Kadosh Israel, Baruch Atah Adonai, Kal Israel.
And you're invited to stand for the Amidah. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agi techilatecha. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agi techilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, v'Hanora El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Koneh Hakol, v'Zacher Chazdei Avot ve'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך, עוזר, ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מזריח השמש, מוריד הטל. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים, ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, מקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה, לחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך.
קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו.
כבודו מלא עולם.
ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו.
ממקום מלכנו תופיע ותמלוך עלינו, כי מחכים אנחנו לך.
ימלוך אדוני לעולם אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור הללויה.
לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, לנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. You inspired our ancestors to hallow this day for your service. When upon its coming we pause to contemplate our life, we learn anew that we do not live by bread alone, but also by the spiritual nourishment we receive when we open ourselves to your influence. We thank you for the Sabbath day and for the opportunity it offers to enhance the quality of our lives. We thank you for its joy and for its peace. May our worship help us to take into our hearts its message of holiness and consecrate all our days by devotion to what is true, beautiful, and good.
ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, קורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי שומרי שבת, קורא עונג שבת. מקדשי 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 שבי שבת, כולם יספו ויתענגו מטובך שבת. וחשבי עשית בו וקידשתו שבת, עמדת ימים אותו קראת. זכר למעשה וראשית שבת, זכר למעשה וראשית שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי שומרי שבת, וקורא עונג שבת.
We're in the middle of page 143. Please join me in reading Our God and God of our ancestors. May our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us by your commandments and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Eternal One, let the holiness of your Sabbath enter our hearts, and may all Israel, who hallow your name, be exalted by its peace. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of the Sabbath. Say Adonai Eloheinu ba'amcha Yisrael, hu tefilatam ba'ahava tekabel, hu tehil ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha, baruch ata Adonai, she'otacha levadacha b'yira na'avod. Modim anachnu lach, she'ata hu Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu le'olam va'ed. Sur chayenu, magen yishenu atahu lador vador. Nodelacha unisapeh tehilatecha, al chayenu hamsurim biadacha, va'al nishvotenu hapkodot lach, va'al nisecha shebechol yomim anu, va'al niflotecha v'tovatecha, shebechol eitere v'voche v'sohorayim, baruch ata Adonai, hatov shimcha, lahana'eh. Lehodot. Grant peace, welfare, and blessing, grace, love, and mercy to us and to all Israel, your people. As a loving parent, bless us with the light of your presence, for by the light of your presence, eternal God, you have revealed to us the law of life, a love of kindness and righteousness, blessing and mercy, life and peace. For it is good in your sight that your people Israel and all peoples be blessed at all times with your gift of peace. Baruch ata Adonai osei hashalom. So a short time of peace and silence for our own thoughts.
Ose shalom ביממיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל בני אדם עושה שלום ביממיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
I've chosen as a theme for this morning's service the human family. I'm going to read just a small part of the special selection of readings beginning on page 192. 192. It seems to me that togetherness across humanity is particularly important at this time. Of course, it's been absolutely vital during the pandemic. And with COP26, the climate change talks coming up this week in Glasgow, it's clear that we all have to act together if we are to save our planet. So page 192, Joseph says, Et achai anochi mevakesh, my brothers do I seek. But who are our brothers and sisters? Are they only members of our own family or clan or people or nation? All men and women of every color and creed, of every race and nation are our brothers and sisters. We are all members of the human family. Like brothers and sisters, we should feel a sense of common identity. Like brothers and sisters, we should feel each other's pain and seek each other's welfare. The God who created us cares equally for all of us. Therefore, we should care equally for one another. So please turn the page to 194, and please join me in saying, Eternal God, we pray for the coming of the day when all your children will live together in peace and friendship, when oppression, discrimination, and prejudice will be relics of the past, and all humanity will be filled with your Spirit. May that day come soon, the day foreseen by our prophets, the day for which we have longed during the course of 100 generations, when all men and women will know and understand that they are brothers and sisters, and be united in humble reverence before you, and in mutual love and respect.
שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב מה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. לה 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 לה, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. לה 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 לה, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד.
Kriyat HaTorah, the reading of Torah, page 481. 481, Ein Kamocha.
אין כמוך באלוהים אדוני, ואין כמעשיך, מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, Adonai yivarech et amo b'shalom.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Gadlul Adonai iti, Ramama Shemo Yachtav.
Lacha Adonai Hagadula, Bahagavura, Bahatiferet, Bachanei Sabahad, Yichol B'shamayim Uba'aretz, Yichol B'shamayim Uba'aretz, Lacha Adonai HaMamlacha v'Hamitnaseh, L'chol L'rosh.
This week's Sedra is Vayera. It is the second of 3 weeks when we read the story of Abraham. And I'm just going to take you very quickly through the narrative of the whole Sedra. It begins at a point at which Abraham and his so far one son Ishmael have just been circumcised. Abraham at the age of 99 and Ishmael at the age of 13. And it begins with a lovely, peaceful scene where Abraham is sitting at the entrance to his tent, and 3 men are coming, and he runs to meet them and asks them to come in to wash their feet, as was the custom. And he asks Sarah, his wife, to get ready some food. Abraham finds a tender calf. He kills it. They get it ready for dinner. Interestingly, they serve it with curd and milk. There appears to be no restriction on mixing meat and milk back then. And they ate. And the visitors ask for Sarah, Abraham's wife, and they tell her that she is going to have a child. And Sarah laughs. She doesn't believe them. And the men then are about to go on their way, and God has a thought. I want to tell Abraham what I'm going to do. And he tells Abraham that the towns of Sodom and Gomorrah have become very wicked, and he's going to destroy them. Now, this is a little bit problematic because Abraham's nephew Lot is living in Sodom. And Abraham pleads for Sodom to be spared. And he kind of bargains with God. If you find 50 righteous people in Sodom, God, will you let them off? And God says yes. And then Abraham brings the number down to 40 and 30 and 12 and eventually to 10. And God says, well, I'll let them all off if there's 10 righteous people. But sadly, it turns out that 10 righteous people could not be found in this town of Sodom. The men come to Lot's house, and Lot is told to flee, and eventually he does with his family. But his wife looks back and is turned into a pillar of salt, which I think it says could still be seen to this day. We then come on to this morning's story, where Sarah does have her long promised child. It turns out to be a boy, Isaac. And as Isaac grows up, Sarah becomes rather jealous of Abraham's other son, Ishmael, who is not her son. He's the son of Hagar, the maidservant. And she asks Abraham to send Hagar and her son Ishmael away. Abraham doesn't want to, but God tells him to listen to Sarah's voice, so he has to. And they do get sent away, and we will hear this morning how they are helped by God providing water for them in the desert. And then the final part of the Sefer, which we won't be reading this morning, is the story of the Akedah, the binding of Abraham upon the altar, and his escape, and God's promise to Abraham to make of him a great people. So we'll be reading from Genesis chapter 21, the whole chapter, a little bit longer than some of our readings. So Paul, your Hebrew name, please.
I am Yonah ben Shimon.
Ya'amod, Yonah ben Shimon likro b'Torah.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorach.
Baruch Adonai hamavorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamavorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Okay, so can we have the screen share? Great, thank you. Vadonai Pakad et Sarah kasher amar Vayas Adonai l'Sarah kasher diber V'taha batel et Sarah l'Abraham ben Lizkunav l'moed asher diber oto Elohim Vayikra Abraham Eshem beno hanolad lo asher yalda lo Sarah Yitzchak Vayomol Abraham et Yitzchak beno ben shmoat yamim Kasher tziva oto Elohim V'Abraham ben me'at shana bivalei lo et Yitzhak beno Vatol mesara sachoch asali Elohim kol hashomeh Yitzhak li Vatome bimilel Abraham heni kavanim Sarah ki aladati ben lizkunav Vayigdal hayeled v'yegamal Vayas Abraham ishte gadol B'yom higamel et Yitzchak. The big feast that Abraham held for Isaac when he was weaned. Now we have no tradition in Judaism of a weaning feast, so later on the rabbis felt able to use this feast as an example for other purposes, and they used it as a text for a tradition both of having a feast on a circumcision, and later on it became used as a text for suggesting that there should be a feast when a boy has his bar mitzvah. So now Sarah gets jealous and Hagar gets sent away. Vateres Sarai ben Hagar hamitzrit asher yalda la'Avraham mitzachek vatomel Avraham garesh et ha'ama hazot ve'et bana ki lo yerash ben ha'ama hazot im bani im Yitzhak. Vayera hadavar me'od b'nei Avraham al odot beno vayomer Elohim el Avraham al yera b'neicha al hana'a v'al amatecha kol asher תאמר לך שרה שמע בקולה כי ויצחק יקרא לך זרע וגם את בן האמה לגוי אשימנו כי זרעך הוא וישכם אברהם בבוקר ויקח לחם וחמת מים ויתן ההגה שם על שכמה ואת הילד וישלחהו ותלד ותתה במדבר באשבה. Hagar runs out of water and God provides it. ויכלו המים מן חכמת ותשלך את הילד תחת אחד השיחים ותלך ותשב לה מנגד החיק תמתחה וקשת כי אמרה על אלה במות הילד ותשב מנגד ותישא את קולה ותפק וישמע אלוהים את קול הנא ויקרא המלאך אלוהים אל הגר מן השמיים ויאמר לה מלאך הגר אל תראי כי שמע אלוהים אל קול הנער באשר הוא שם קומי צאי את הנער וחזיקי את ידך בו כי לגוי גדול אשימנו ויפקח אלוהים את עיניך ותראה באר מים ותלך ותמלא את רחמת מים ותשק את הנער ויהי אלוהים אל הנער ויגדל וישב במדבר ויהי רוב הקשת וישב במדבר פרן ותיקח לו אמו אישה מארץ מצרים. So now, Paul, if you'd be kind enough to read the English for us and then say the blessing afterwards.
And the Eternal One remembered Sarah as had been promised, and the Eternal One did for Sarah exactly as the Eternal had spoken. And Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at just the time God had said it would. And Abraham gave his newborn son, whom Sarah had borne him, the name of Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, as God had commanded him. Now Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born. And Sarah said, God has brought me laughter. Everyone who hears about this will laugh with me. And she added, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age. The child grew up and was weaned, and Abraham held a great feast on the day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son whom Hagar the Egyptian had borne to Abraham playing. She said to Abraham, cast out this slave woman and her son, for the son of that slave shall not share in the inheritance with my son Isaac. The matter distressed Abraham greatly, for it concerned a son of his. But God said to Abraham, do not be distressed over the boy or your servant. Whatever Sarah tells you, do as she says, for it is through Isaac that offspring shall be continued for you. And as for the son of the slave woman, I will make a nation of him too, for he is your seed. And Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and a bottle of water and gave them to Hagar. He placed them over her shoulder together with the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered about in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water in the bottle was gone, she left the child under one of the bushes, and she went and sat down at a distance, a bow shot away, for she thought, let me not look on the child as the child dies. And sitting this far away, she burst into tears. God heard the cry of the boy, and an angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, what troubles you, Hagar? Fear not, for God has heard the voice of the boy where he is. And God heard the cry of the boy, and an angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, what troubles you, Hagar? Fear not, for God has heard the voice of the boy where he is. Arise, lift up the boy, and hold him by the hand, for I will make a great nation of him. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. She went and filled the bottle with water and let the boy drink. And God was with the boy, and he grew up. He dwelt in the wilderness and became an archer. He lived in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother got a wife for him from the land of Egypt. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'hayei olam natah b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, notein haTorah.
Shekoyach, Shabbat Shalom, beautifully read. Thank you so much. And now we come to this morning's Haftarah, which Ruth is going to read for us. It's from the second book of Kings. Again, it's a little bit longer than usual. It's a fascinating story of Elisha and the Shunammite woman. I don't think any introduction is required. We can let the words speak for themselves. So, Ruth, please.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bacha b'neviim tovim, ratzah b'divreihem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher b'torah u'v'Moshe avdo, u'v'Yisrael amo, u'v'nevei ha'emet v'tzedek. Vayhi hayom v'yavo Elisha el Shunem v'sham isha gdola v'tachazek bo lecholachem. Vayhi midei avro yasu shama lecholachem. V'tomer Elisha hinei na yadati ki ish Elohim kadosh hu. Over aleinu tamid, nasena aliyat ki ktana, v'nasim lo sham mita v'shulchan, v'chisei menorah, v'haya, v'vo eleinu yasu shama, v'yehi hayom v'yavo shama, v'yasa el ha'aliyah v'yishkav shama, v'yomer el gechazi na'aro, קרא לשונמית הזאת, ויקרא לה ותעמוד לפניו. ויאמר לו, אמונה אליה, הנה חרת אלינו, כל החרדה הזאת, מה לעשות לך, היש לדבר לך אל המלך, או אל שר הצבא, ותאמר, בתוך עמי אנוכי יושבת, ויאמר, ומה לעשות לה, ויאמר גחזי, אבל בין אין לה ואישה זקן, ויאמר קרא לה, ויקרא לה, ותעמוד בפתח, ויאמר, למועד הזה כעת חיה, את חובקת בן, ותאמר, על אדוני איש האלוהים, אל תכזב בשפחתך. ותהה האישה ותלד בן, למועד הזה כעת חיה, אשר דיבר אליה אלישע. ויגדל הילד, ויהי היום ויצא אל אביו אל הקצרין. ויאמר אל אביו ראשי ראשי, ויאמר אל הנער שאהו אל אמו, וישאהו ויביאהו אל אמו, וישב על ביריה עד הצהריים וימות, ותעל ותשכבהו על מיטת איש האלוהים, ותסגור בעדו ותצא, ותקרא אל אישה, ותאמר שילחנה לי אחד מן הנערים, ואחת האתונות, וארוצה עד איש האלוהים ואשובה, ויאמר מדוע את הולכת אליו היום, לא חודש ולא שבת, ותאמר שלום, ותחבו שעתום, ותאמר אל נערה, נהג ולך, אל תעצה לי לרוב, כי אם אמרתי לך, ותלך ותבוא אל איש האלוהים אל הר הכרמל, ויהי כראות איש האלוהים אותה מנגד, ויאמר אל גחזי נערו, הנה השונמית הלז, עתה וצנע לקראתיה, ואמר לה, השלום לך, השלום לאישך, השלום לילד, ותאמר שלום. ותבוא אל איש האלוהים אל ההר, ותחזק ברגליו, ויגש גחזי להדפה, ויאמר איש האלוהים הפלה כי נפשה מרה לה, ואדוני העלים ממני ולא הגיד לי, ותאמר השאלתי בין מעט אדוני, הלא אמרתי לא תשלה אותי, ויאמר לגחזי חגור מתנך, וקח משנתי בידיך ולך, כי תמצא איש לא תברכנו, וכי יברכך איש לא אל תעננו, ושמת משנתי על פני הנער, ותאמר אם הנער חי אדוני וחי נפשך, אם אעזבך ויקום וילך אחריה, וגחזי עבר לפניהם, וישם את המשענת על פני הנער, ואין קול ואין חשב, וישב לקראתו, ויגד לו לאמור, לא הקיץ הנער. ויבוא אלישע הביתה, והנה הנער מת, מושכב על מיטתו, ויבוא ויסגור הדלת בעד שניהם, ויתפלל אל אדוני, ויעל וישכב על הילד, וישם פיו אל פיו, ועיניו על עיניו, וכפיו על כפיו, ויבחר עליו, ויחם בשר הילד, וישב וילך בבית, אחת הנה ואחת הנה, ויעל ויקרא עליו, ויזורע הנער עד 7 פעמים, ויפקח הנער את עיניו, ויקרא אל גחזי, ויאמר קרא אל השונמית הזאת, ויקראיה, ותבוא אליו, ויאמר שאי בנך, ותבוא ותיפול אל רגליו, ותשתחו ארצה, ותישא בניו ותצא. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, צור כל העולמים, צדיק בכל הדורות, האל הנאמן האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. על הצורה ועל העבודה והנביאים והיום השבת הזה שנתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל, אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך. יתברך שמך בפי כל חי, תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת.
Shkoyach. Shkoyach, that was a real marathon. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Could we have the English back up, please? I'm not going to go through it all because it is long, but I'm sure you would like to know, if you didn't quite catch every word of the Hebrew, what this is all about. So it starts off with the prophet Elisha, who is Elijah's successor, visiting Shunem, and he gets a little room in a woman's house, and she has no child, and Elisha tells her, and this is of course the parallel to the story we just read, that when the time comes round she will get a child, and she does indeed, but when the child is grown up, he falls ill and he says, Roshi, Roshi, my head. And he sits on his mother's knees, then he dies. And she takes him up to Elisha's little room. Elisha's not there. And she puts him on his bed, and she tells her husband to rush off and find Elisha. And Elisha does. And Elisha comes. And if you move forward to verse 32, I'll just read the end of the story. Elisha came into the house, and there was the boy laid out dead on his couch. He went in, shut the door behind the two of them, and prayed to the Eternal One. Then he got on the bed and placed himself over the child. He put his mouth on its mouth, his eyes on its eyes, and his hands on its hands as he bent over it. And the body of the child became warm. He stepped down, walked once up and down the room, then got on the bed and bent over him. Thereupon the boy sneezed 7 times and opened his eyes. Elisha called Gehazi and said, call the Shunammite woman. And he called her. And when she came to him, he said, pick up your son. She came and fell at his feet and bowed low to the ground. And then she picked up her son and left. So that's the story of this very remarkable haftarah. So we continue our service on page 484 with our community prayers. I think Rosemary is going to read the first one, and then Rania, and then Alan, please.
Eternal God, whose dominion embraces the universe, we ask your blessing for our Sovereign Lady, Queen Elizabeth, and all the royal family, for those who govern our country and all who influence the quality of its national life. Make them conscious of their responsibility and teach them to exercise it in accordance with your will. May we all help to fashion in this country a society that excels in freedom and justice, tolerance and compassion, so that it may be a force for righteousness and peace in the life of humanity.
Eternal God, as you blessed our ancestors in generations past, bless now this congregation, its leaders and its members, and all who enter this synagogue to meet, to study, and to pray. Comfort the sorrowing hearts among us, and heal those in anxiety or pain. May we all find here community and friendship, renewal of purpose and hope, a deeper understanding of our heritage, and a sense of your abiding presence. Bless all congregations of the House of Israel throughout the world. Let those who live under oppressive rule soon be freed, and may we all unite to witness to your truth and do your will.
Eternal God, our rock and redeemer, grant blessing to the state of Israel, created to fulfill an age-old dream and to be a haven for the oppressed. Inspire its leaders and citizens with faithfulness to the aims of its founders, to develop the land for the benefit of all its inhabitants, and to implement the prophetic ideals of liberty and justice. May they live in harmony with one another and in peace with their neighbors, and cause to come true once more the ancient vision that out of Zion shall go forth Torah and the word of God from Jerusalem.
Shikoyach, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you all very much. We were talking before the service about Her Majesty being unwell. Before we end our Torah service, we think of everyone we know who may need a little extra comfort and thought at this time. You're welcome to unmute and mention anybody who you feel is unwell or in need.
My friend
My
Stuart.
nephew. I'm sorry. Go on, Linda. Sorry.
My friend Stuart Beattie.
My nephew Simon Lubert.
My brother Ashley Hart.
My daughter Yael Butrut.
My friend Sue Rose.
From our community, Brenda Hunt is making progress, but we should be thinking of her. And also Gina Greenglass is getting better, but it will be very slow. And I'm sure there are other members of our community who, whose names I haven't got at my fingertips, but we wish them well.
May it be your will, Eternal One, our God of our ancestors, speedily to grant healing of body and mind to those we have named, to those in our thoughts, and to all who are unwell. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofeh Chachulim. We praise you, God, the source of healing. Page 486. 486. Yahalelu et Shem Adonai, ki niskav shemo levado.
Hodo al eretz v'shamayim v'yarem kerem le'omo tehila v'chol chasida livnei Yisrael am karova. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
And please turn the page to 488. God's teaching is perfect, reviving the soul. God's word is unfailing, making wise the simple. God's precepts are right, delighting the mind. God's commandments are clear, enlightening the eyes. God's doctrine is pure, enduring forever. God's guidance is true and altogether just.
כי לכל טוב נתתי להם, תורתי אל תעזבו. עץ חיים היא, למחזיקים בה, ותומכיך מיושה. דרכיך דרכי נועם, וכל נתיבותיך שלום. Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chodesh Chodesh Yameinu Chodesh Yameinu Kakedem.
Koyach. I was recently asked to write a brief appreciation of the Catholic theologian Hans Kung, who passed away earlier this year. He used to include in his books this little motto: there can be no peace in the world without peace between religions, and there could be no peace between religions without dialogue between religions. It's an idea that's long inspired me in the interfaith work I do. I believe there's an overriding urgency in the world today to build better relations between Jews and Muslims, which have deteriorated so much over the decades of the Middle East conflict. Sadly, that conflict has caused us to forget the golden age in Spain and other times when Jews and Muslims lived peacefully together. And indeed, overall, Jews in Muslim lands, if you take the whole course of history, have fared far better than Jews in Christian lands. That's why I've got together with Dr. Harith Ramli of Edge Hill University, who's a scholar of Islam, and we're leading a course at the Liberal Jewish Synagogue, both in person and online. It's called Judaism and Islam, a Shared History. And it's going to be running just once every couple of months over the course of the year from now until June. 1,000 years ago, 90% of Jews in the world lived in Muslim lands and spoke Arabic or had some exposure to Arabic. Jews across the world in those Muslim lands, from Baghdad in the east to Cordoba and Toledo in the west, had a common language which they shared with the Muslim population of those lands in a way which never has happened in a major way in Ashkenazi lands, where Yiddish became the language of the Jews. And although, of course, Yiddish and German and some Eastern languages have a lot in common, was a distinctive Jewish language. Under Muslim rule, it was not just that Jews became government officials, scientists, physicians, traders, bankers, and poets. There were religious links too. Grammar, philosophy, theology, and religious law, halakha and sharia, developed side by side. And that's what we're talking about in this course. There are so many bad stories about Jews and Muslims that Harith and I, in our LJS program, want to share some of the good news. And I'm happy to share details of the course with anyone who's interested. Of course, it's not all good news. We in our Bible do have our own difficult texts. And for Jews and Muslims, I think there's nothing in our Torah which is more problematic than the story we heard this morning about the sending away of Ishmael and Hagar. Ishmael, considered by both Jews and Muslims to be the ancestor of the Arab peoples. Sarah saw that the son of Hagar the Egyptian had born to Abraham was laughing, and she said to Abraham, "Send away this slave woman and her son. No son of that slave shall share the inheritance with my son Isaac." Abraham was distressed, but then God comes in surprisingly on Sarah's side. "Do what she tells you. she says to Abraham. It's the son of Isaac who will be called your children. That seems to suggest that the sons of Ishmael are not really Abraham's children, which is very difficult. Of course, it's no doubt there to explain that the Israelites of later times who inherited the land were descended from Isaac, not from Ishmael. Ishmael became the ancestor of the wandering people known as the Ishmaelites, the ones who traded across the desert, the ones who purchased the young Joseph from his brothers and took him to Egypt. So whoever wrote that biblical story was explaining the world as they knew it. They couldn't possibly have known that another great religion would arise, Islam, which would trace its ancestry to Ishmael, or Ismail, as he's called in Arabic. But what does Muslim tradition make of the story we read this morning? There's actually quite a lot of different versions. It was elaborated in many ways, but in outline, Islamic tradition says that Hagar was Abraham's first wife, and Abraham was told by God to take Hagar and Ishmael to the town of Mecca. Later, Abraham returned to Mecca to build the Kaaba. That's the little building covered with a cloth, which is central to the Muslim pilgrimage, the Hajj. After Abraham has left, Hagar and Ishmael run out of water, just as they do in our story. Ishmael becomes extremely thirsty. Hagar is distressed and she looks for water. She runs back and forth 7 times between 2 hills called Asafa and Al-Mawa. When she returns to Ishmael, she finds him, stories differ, either him or an angel scratching away at the ground, and water begins flowing, and Hagar collects some. That spring is known as Zamzam, and it exists to this day. In fact, downstairs we have a little bottle of Zamzam water, which a Muslim friend gave to us when they came back from the pilgrimage. Pilgrims collect it when they go on Hajj and the other pilgrimages, and they reenact this running between the 2 hills as part of the ceremony. So you can see that this story of Ismail has become really important in the way Islam has practiced. A rather depressing poem by A.G. Jacobs imagines how Isaac might have felt after his big half-brother Ishmael was sent away. Isaac saying, "I vaguely remember that mocking boy who played his secret games around our tents and crept in at night to his mother, the slave woman's pillow. But he could do marvelous things, whistle wild songs, climb trees that I couldn't, find unknown caves and streams. But there was that day my father, a man perplexed, rejected his furtively proud, unorthodox son. I hear now my brother's a chief of a tribe in the desert. I hear rumors he dreams of marching against me to seize his inheritance. But I too, Isaac, had suffered, perhaps more than he. I've had a sacrificial knife laid at my throat. I would like to help my brother, but he's still proud." If we are to build peace in our world, we have to come to terms with our difficult past. We have to come to terms with stories like that. But at the same time, the discussion can help us. By grappling with our texts, we grapple with our own deepest fears. And study of scripture together across the faiths can enable us to look at today's problems and yet distance ourselves a little from them. Sim Shalom has written a much more positive poem. Ismail, my brother, how long must we fight each other? Time is running out. Put hatred to sleep. Shoulder to shoulder, let's water our sheep. May we learn how to build peace between Jews and Muslims in our world. Amen. So our time too is running out. And let's finish our service. We come to Aleinu on page 520.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, אשר שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגור עלינו לחמליך מלכותו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שכונו את השמיים ויסר הארץ, ושמשו ויקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגוב המרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, ידעת היום בחשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, מעל הארץ ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד.
Page 521, ונאמר.
ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
On page 523, life is finite. Like a candle, it burns, it glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty. Then it fades. Its substance is consumed, and it is no more. Yet we do not despair, for we know that we are more than a flickering flame. With our lives, we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and light, of death and life. And as we say Kaddish this morning, we remember the yahrzeits of Annie Pearson, mother of Joseph Pearson, and of Anne Sontag, mother of Richard Sontag. And as we think too of all those whose loss grieves us, we pray that the divine presence will comfort us and all who mourn. Let us say together the words of the Kaddish. Yit Gadal, the Yit Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, Balma Divara Chirute, Beamlich Malchute, Bahayechon Aviomechon, Bahaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Bagala Vizman Kari Bimru Amen, Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mevarach La'alam Alme Almaya, Yit Barach, V'yit Tabach, V'yit Pa'a, V'yit Roman, V'yit Naseh, V'yit Hada, V'yit Hale, V'yit Halal, Shemei Dekudish Abarichu, Ve'ela min kol bi'chata v'sherata, Tush b'chata v'nechamata, Demeran balma v'imru Amen, Yehei Shlama Rabba min Shemaya, V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen, Ose Shalom Bim Romav. Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol b'nei Adam v'imru Amen. We're going to end this morning with the singing of Yom Zeh LeYisrael. You can find it on page 644. 644.
Yom זה לישראל אורה ושמחה, אורה ושמחה, שבת מנוחה. יום זה לישראל אורה ושמחה, שבת שבת מנוחה, שבת שבת מנוחה. צביתה בחותי במעמד סיני, שבת ומועדים לשמור בכל שנה, לערוך לפני משת וארוחה, שבת שבת מנוחה, שבת שבת מנוחה. יום זה לישראל אורה ושמחה, אורה ושמחה, שבת מנוחה. יום זה לישראל אורה ושמחה, שבת שבת מנוחה, שבת שבת מנוחה. עמדת הלבבות לאומה שבורה, לנפשות לכבוד נשבה יתרה, מנפש מצרה יסיס אנחה, שבת שבת מנוחה, שבת שבת מנוחה. יום זה לישראל אורה ושמחה, אורה ושמחה, שבת מנוחה. יום זה לישראל אורה ושמחה, שבת שבת מנוחה, שבת שבת מנוחה. קידשת ברכת אותו מכל ימים, ששת כליתה מלאכת עולמים, בו מצאו עגומים רעש כתוביתך, שבת שבת מנוחה, שבת שבת מנוחה. יום זה לישראל אורה ושמחה, אורה ושמחה, שבת מנוחה. יום זה לישראל אורה ושמחה, שבת שבת מנוחה, שבת שבת מנוחה.
Our God and God of our ancestors, bless us with the threefold benediction of the Torah. Yivarechacha Adonai v'yishmerecha, may God bless you and keep you. Ya'eh Adonai panav elecha v'chonecha, may God look kindly upon you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom, may God reach out to you in tenderness and give you peace. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Can I, before we do Kiddush,
Shabbat shalom.
can I give some announcements before we do Kiddush? I want to share my screen. First of all, I want to say a very big thank you to Rabbi Michael for taking our service today. Very inspiring, very interesting. And thank you to Joseph for the music. And I'm going to share my screen with some of the events that are coming up. So on Sunday, this Sunday, there is a talk by Rabbi Sybil Sheridan on some Ethiopian Jews, and it's to do with, as you can see on the screen there, it's all about sort of Ethiopian Jews and the work of Makita. So, and it's finding out more about this community, their lives and their dreams of one day settling in Israel. So that should be very, very interesting. So that's at, I think, 5:30 on Sunday. And then there's the walking group on Tuesday. And then on Tuesday as well, October the 26th, it's Meet the Author, Dr. Julius Green, interviewed by Steve Levinson. So his new book, Stars and Spies, sounds very interesting. And then Tea and Torah, which is the discussion of the Torah with one of the rabbis, which is always proves very, very interesting. So join that if you can. And then on Sunday, the following Sunday, is an online quiz, which again is always very, very popular. So those are just some of the events that are taking place, and it would be lovely for people to join them. And I think that's probably everything that I want to say. So as I say, if Rabbi wants to do Kiddush. I've lost him.
Please join me. You're welcome to unmute. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת בנפש על כן ברך אדוני את יום השבת ויקדשהו ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא פרי הגפן לחיים.
Is there anyone with a colour who can come and speak?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Thank you again, Brother Michael.
Shabbat shalom to everybody, and Michael, thank you so much for a really interesting, fascinating discussion, and I think the course was very, very interesting. It's nice to have a slightly different part of the parasha because each parasha Genesis has so many fascinating things coming. Thank you very much indeed.
You're very welcome, Hannah.
Sorry. I just want to know when.
Can you just mute Michael while he's speaking so we can hear? I can't hear otherwise. Try again, Rania.
Sorry, I wanted to know about these talks about Jews and Arabs. Can you tell us a bit more about it, Michael?
Yes, I can. What's the best way to do it? Let me send the flyer through to Kevin, and then you can enroll if you want to. You can do it online. It's not really about Jews and Arabs. It's about Judaism and Islam.
Okay, yes.
So the first one we've already done, we looked at the story of Joseph in the two traditions. The next one coming up, we're going to be looking at Jewish law and Muslim law. And then we're going to talk a bit about grammar, how Arabic and Hebrew developed the vowel signs, among other things, which are very similar to each other and were developed around the same time in the same kind of place. We're going to talk more about how we interpret our scriptures. And then in the very final lecture, which will be in June, we're going to talk about the Jewish Orientalists. Oh, thank you, Joseph. Joseph's found a link to it, which is very nice. Not many people realize that the earliest Western academic scholars of Islam in the 19th century, nearly all of them were Jewish. So we're going to tell some of their stories and why they discovered Islam and started writing about it. So some of this is quite unusual. Some of it hasn't really been told before. Some of it has, but I just hope that it will be of interest.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Again. Try again, Beth.
You're very welcome. Bye-bye. Thank you, Joseph. Thanks so much. It is. I've got to go and start packing. We're going off on holiday tomorrow morning.
Oh, nice.
We're going down to Southsea, part of Portsmouth. Yeah, the forecast is quite warm actually. I don't think it will be cold.
I'm going to close the meeting now.
Okay.
Everybody?
Thanks for having me. Shabbat shalom.
Thanks again.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.